Hey there, sports fans. Welcome to Missouri Sports Network, MissouriSportsNetwork.com, where everyone has a home field advantage, and it's time for Huddle Up. Strap it on, get ready to play. Guy Newcomb alongside Darren Archer and Austin Bradley and Johnny Mack. Call the ball.
Gentlemen, congratulations on our Huddle Up series that we've been putting together. I'm proud to be here with you. I'm excited today. Hopefully, everyone out there, we're going to be able to laugh, have a joyous time, maybe even shed a tear or two. Who knows? Some of these guys get really sensitive sometimes. But we're going to talk sports. We're going to go through the gamut here. We're going to have about an hour, a little bit less, in which we're going to give you all the sports in Missouri nationwide. We're going to cover all the hot topics here, and hopefully you enjoy what we're putting together. And hey, DA, Guy, Austin, glad everyone is here. And with that being said, man, we're ready to go. How's everyone feeling today? Are you excited?
Ready to
I'm,
roll.
I'm excited. It's fall season. NFL's getting ready to kick up. Major League Baseball playoffs and high school football.
I
Let's
love it.
go. Let's
How are you
go.
feeling? How are you feeling, Mr. Austin, sir?
Hey, I'm right now. I'm in volleyball mode. I've got some broadcasting of my own that I'm doing on the side, and it's all volleyball right now. So I've been thinking volleyball all this week. We got 2 games to go this week. I'm ready to roll.
Good, good, good. We'll get to volleyball a little bit later, but we want to get this hour started with our favorite team here, including DA. Even though he's a studio Cubs fan, he down under. I know he has a Cardinal T-shirt up under that shirt. So we want to start out talking about the Cardinals, everyone. And I want to hear what everyone has to say about Albert Pujols. I actually thought maybe he could do one more year, and I actually was hoping that the crowd, the home crowd, would get that chant going. Hopefully, it could change his mind. But from what I hear, he's kind of stuck on just being here today. What are your thoughts, DA, about Pujols and his 700, his pursuit of career home run number 700?
Well, I'll tell you this: regardless if he gets it or not, he's had one heck of a career. One that ranks right up there with the best of them in Cardinals history and even Major League Baseball. I read something the other day where he has to average a home run every 5 or 6 games, I think. So, at the rate he's been going, he's going to get there. But they're also in a pennant race, which is very important. So his playing time, it's going to be interesting to see how that's handled. For the Cardinals' sake, hopefully they get a big enough lead to where he can get some more at bats and have a better chance of getting to 700. I'm sure rooting for him.
I agree with you. The 1 in 5 every game, that's an interesting stat. Guy, with that stat, and primarily hitting against left-handed pitchers, realistically, be honest, Guy, do you see him reaching it, or do you? If I had to put together some percentages, what would you put him at, guys, reaching that 700 level?
I'd say he's probably got a 40% chance, and it's going to increase the bigger lead that the Cardinals get. That's going to put him in the lineup more. Ollie Mormal has got to realize the significance of this. The 700 home runs, there's just 3 other guys that have done it in Major League Baseball history. He's right on that precipice. And the Cardinals play the worst final games of the season. They have the worst record of their opponents. So they got an opportunity to increase that lead, and I think that's going to get him some more bats. And right now, you cannot not play him. I mean, he's the best hitter in baseball since the All-Star break. And, he's leading, he's hitting 430, he's doing whatever, all these numbers. You got to put him in the lineup. And that's going to help you win. And they need somebody hitting behind Arenado. I mean, Arenado's protecting Goldschmidt. I know he's struggling right now. Tyler O'Neill's gotten hot a little bit, but put Pujols in the lineup and let him get to that 700 and let him do it at home.
That's interesting you say that, but Austin, let me ask you a question. I feel pressure, and I'm sitting at home in my seat for Pujols when he comes up. I just think it's an unbearable type of pressure, and trust me, I got hemorrhoids from sitting here watching Pujols play. Austin, what are your thoughts about the pressure that he's under in these very few at bats he's getting later in the game? Sometimes very kind of bases loaded or 2 guys on or whatever. What are your thoughts with the pressure that he's facing? Realistically, being able to pull it off.
I think he is aware, but I don't think he cares. I think when he says he doesn't care, he just wants to win. I think he means that. I really do. I think that his mindset right now is I want to win a World Series, and if I get 700, great. But if not, well, I'm a Hall of Famer anyway. And honestly, he has every right to feel that way.
That's a good observation, and you're absolutely right. I mean, I think he really doesn't care, but I think he knows also how to say the right things in the public. I mean, how could you not care? You're that close to cusp of reaching immortality in baseball. I mean, it'd be hard to go, well, I left 4 home runs on the table. I hit 696 and, not to come back. But with that being said, I'm rooting for him. Of course, we all are. Maybe it's a DA. But, what really struck me about everything about the Cardinals this year is that everyone wanted Juan Soto. And I kind of sat here and said, hey, I'm not really sold on Soto. He's a slugger. He did his home runs. But the acquisitions of Jordan Montgomery and Jose Quintana, let's talk about those a little bit. Guy, I want to hear what your thoughts are on what they've done and how they've added to the Cardinals roster and actually made a significant impact, maybe even more so than Soto would have.
Oh, I definitely agree with that. I mean, right now, John Mozeliak is probably the GM of the year for not going out and getting Juan Soto. You add Montgomery and you look at, he gave up 5 earned runs his last game out against Atlanta, but the Cardinals won that game on the walk-off walk with O'Neill. Then Quintana, he's just 1-1 since he's been with the Cardinals. He got 3 no decisions. But now you got Flaherty coming back, and you may be able to put him in the bullpen and keep those guys because you've got a pretty good, solid starting rotation there with what they did. But giving up Bader and for Montgomery, that's just brilliant. And the Yankees right now, they're kind of they're in the toilet. They've got is the 61 home runs. That the Judge is going after, and it hit his 50th. But I really think with Montgomery, Quintana, especially Quintana coming in from the left side, I think that's huge. And they need that guy on the mound from the left side. And when you're going into the playoffs, and right now if they win the division, they're likely to get maybe the Mets in that second round and avoid the Dodgers until maybe the NLCS. But if they can get there. But we'll see. But I think Mozeliak right now is the GM of the year.
Yeah, well, wow, whoa! Bring the reins in. Maybe GM of the month for sure. I don't know about the year, but DA, I want to throw it over to you. I mean, and I want to hear some of your thoughts about that, and also I want to hear about the Cardinals' schedule. I've heard a little bit of kickback about that. They're playing a lot of easy teams. I thought they made a good stand, although they lost that first game. I believe it was 11-3 against Atlanta. Came back, won a couple thrillers, and then the Sunday night come from behind win. DA, what are your thoughts on Montgomery and Quintana and the schedule that they have coming up and that they've been playing since the All-Star break?
Well, getting back to the trade deadline for the Cardinals, everybody and their brother knew that the Cardinals needed pitching. And I think Montgomery is worth his weight in gold right now, just from the another good arm, solid arm that's experienced. Now, what Quintana will end up being for the Cardinals is an inning eater. He's going to eat up innings and give other guys a break on staff throughout the rest of this year. And he may be called, when they get to the playoffs, he may be called in to, be a long reliever, what have you. He can play that role. But I think both moves are great. As far as the schedules is concerned, I really think this is the time for the Cardinals to really get that gap between them and the Brewers. Brewers are very up and down right now. Their offense is struggling. Their pitching is falling off a little bit, and this is the time to widen that gap and secure that spot. Right now is when they have to do it. They've got teams they can do it against. They've got to win those series that are winnable.
Absolutely. I agree with you. And Austin, I wanted to put this out there because if I could just add a letter, if Pat Sajak asked me what letter would you like to put in front of the Cubs or in the Cubs, I'd put an R in there and put Scrubs. But with that being said, if we can keep playing the Cubs, Austin, a couple times, I think we'll fare fairly well. But Austin, with that being said, with the schedule coming up and all the things that the Cardinals, I want to wrap up our talk about the Cardinals here. Also, what do you see them doing moving forward and in the first round of the playoffs? Do you see the Cardinals as being someone that we should take very seriously about winning a World Series?
I think you definitely should take them seriously. I think pitching is still I don't want to say a problem, but something that has to be looked at, especially if Flaherty comes back healthy. I mean, I don't think Dakota Hudson should be a part of the rotation if he's not healthy. He's definitely not going to be a part of the rotation if he is. I mean, he's not been very good. So I think that what you have to look at here is Hudson your inning eater or is Quintana your inning eater? Which one of those guys is going to be your starter? And I think if they figure that out, I think they're just as dangerous as anybody. Nolan Arenado is hot. Goldie's hot. Pujols is hot. O'Neill's heating up, looks like. Edmonds had 2 home runs in 3 games. I think that the Cardinals are definitely a World Series threat.
Well, gentlemen, I agree with you on a lot of these things. My thing is for Flaherty, you had brought him up, guy, and he just seemed to me, now this is just a personal opinion, he just seemed like he's not really thrilled about being a Cardinal. It just seemed like there was a little bit of lack of intensity and fire early in the year. It just seemed like maybe there was something going on in the front office with him, but I'm not really sure. I'm excited about next year playing every team, but also it's a little bit, nerve-wracking that we won't get a chance to play some of these teams that we've been beating up on the years. But hey, we're all in it for the Cardinals except DA. We know he's a Cubs fan, and it took him 100 years to win the first time. So, DA, we're not really that worried about it this year. I don't think I'll see the next time. But, gentlemen, I want to pivot from the Cardinals and go right into what this state of Missouri has always been roughly crazy about is the Kansas City Chiefs. Chiefs ended the preseason 2-1. We all know that they let Tyreek go. He was traded early in the season, preseason, off season, excuse me. And right now, Mahomes is doing okay. He really didn't get a chance to play a lot, but they got Valdez Scantling, Juju Smith-Schuster, McCole Hardman. What are your thoughts about the Chiefs winning the NFC West? I want to start off with you, Austin. I know you like to speak about the Chiefs a little bit, and the baseball also is one of your fortes, but I want to hear what you have to say about the Chiefs and their possibility of winning the NFC West. The AFC West, excuse me.
I think the Chiefs are the favorite to win the AFC West. I don't know how good the AFC West is. I think the Chiefs' big thing is going to be how do they recover from losing Tyreek Hill. I really do. I think that you're not going to feel that until you're in an in-game setting. You know, preseason's different. You're not running Mahomes out there all the time because you don't want to get him hurt. I think will Mahomes be able to settle in without having Tyreek Hill? Not just Mahomes, but Travis Kelce, Juju Smith-Schuster, all of those guys. Are they going to be able to settle in without having the cheetah? Are they going to be able to settle in without having him there? If they can settle in, they're going to be just fine. If they can't, they won't. I think it comes down to that.
I agree with you, and I'd like to hear DA. I know I want you to talk not necessarily from the heart, because I know you get emotional, you cry a lot sometimes, and you look a lot better after the nose surgery, by the way. I'm glad to have you back, my friend. Glad to have you back. Your nose is somewhat moving left, but we'll get that straightened out here. But with that being said, DA, just be real with me. Take the emotion out of it. I think the Chiefs are going to struggle. I don't think you necessarily agree wholeheartedly, but what are your complete thoughts about them and their season you think they'll have?
I think their division is going to be very, very good. It's going to be a rat race. It has improved vastly. There's a lot of good quarterbacks, and I've said this before. I think it's going to come down to what the defense can do. I think the offense will be there. I like Juju. Valdez Scantling has proven he is a good wide receiver. They've got a young man by the name of Sky Moore, I believe, that's really turned people's heads in training camp. So I think from the offensive standpoint, and of course Kelce, from an offensive standpoint, I think they'll be just fine. It's, are they going to have to go out and outscore people? If they have to, because of a lack of defense, they could be in trouble.
That makes sense. What about you, Guy? What are you thinking?
Well, first off, the AFC West is the best division in the NFL. I mean, without a doubt. And the Chiefs have owned it, for 11 years now. I mean, Andy Reid, his first year did not win the division, but has won it ever since. And he came in. And as long as Andy Reid's the best play caller in the NFL. He's got the best quarterback in the NFL. Tyreek Hill may be a addition by subtraction. And now you've got this Isaiah Pacheco that nobody's really talking about in the backfield that ran the fastest 40 time, then he run back in the NFL Combine. And he's coming in the backfield. If he can catch the ball in the backfield, you've got CEH, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, coming out of the backfield as well. And he had 900 yards rushing a year ago. But I think forcing Mahomes to look for somebody else other than Tyreek Hill, or not Tyreek Hill, because he's gone. So he can't look for him. But Kelce, they're going to, teams are going to try and take him away, and they're going to sit back in that little two deep zone. But this year they're not going to be able to. They had to a year ago because Tyreek Hill could outrun anybody in the stadium. So they had to sit back there in that 2 deep zone, and that killed Patrick Mahomes. And then he started looking for him too much, and freaking Tyreek Hill tipped the ball to the other team. 5 times last year. He caused 5 interceptions because he couldn't catch the football. They're in the toughest division in the NFL. I still think they probably win it because they've got the best quarterback and the best play caller, and I'd like to refer to him as AR-15. Andy Reid and number 15.
Look at you. Hey, just for the record, we do not advocate gun violence on this show. And make sure you do these things with safety and precaution. I do think the Chiefs. I think what the Chiefs have, the best play caller, or one of the best play callers. I do think they'll be well equipped to handle the season. I don't know how dominant they'll be, which leads to closer games, which leads to having to be able to execute, and possibly some turnovers and things of that nature that can cause a season. I do think they're out of the window of opportunity for championships. That's just me. I know everyone's so excited about Arrowhead, and I've heard a lot of players. I don't know if it's a myth or reality. I go to Arrowhead when I go to the game. It's loud, but it's not unbearably loud, but I'm not on the field. Is that a myth or reality, gentlemen, about Arrowhead just being so loud where people can't hear? Austin, have you ever been? I mean, I know you just remind me, you just got out of diapers last week. You still got Similac. So let me ask you a question, fairly young. Have you been to Arrowhead? Have you experienced a game there before?
I've never been to a Chiefs game. No, never been to Arrowhead.
Well, we're gonna exclude you from this conversation a little bit, son. But no, DA and Guy, I know you guys have. What are your thoughts on Arrowhead just being a tough place to play? I mean, I know a lot of Chiefs fans like to pride themselves. They bust their hands up, break their hands, patting themselves on the back, being the loudest stadium. But is that really a true home field advantage to you, Guy?
Well, I think it definitely is a home field advantage, and I've been on the field. I mean, not on the field, but on the sidelines at a Chiefs game, and it is deafening down on the field. I know in the stands it's not that loud because you're a little bit further away, but I think just the whole atmosphere that started 30 years ago with the tailgating and the team. They come in there and they see everybody tailgating, and Chiefs probably have I think they've got the best home field advantage in football now. They brought a decibel meter in there, over the last couple of years, the range, the sound and decibels, and they were number 1 in the NFL until I think Seattle may have broken it, but that's they're at the Kingdom or wherever they play, but Seattle, I think they beat them by just a little bit, but at Kingdom, I know that's a long time ago, and that's baseball.
Guy, if you're on the field cleaning up litter and trash and you got your headphones on, I guarantee you it probably is deafening. But with that being said, DA, I don't think Guy was down there doing a regular season game or anything. I think he was the cleanup guy, and he was down there just enjoying some music. But DA, home field advantages, I hear you. I just want to kind of briefly get your thoughts on the Chiefs and their home field advantage.
Well, I think it's definitely a home field advantage. You hear players talk about it. You hear the coaching staff talk about it. You can even see it in action during a game. When the game gets a big moment, opposing quarterback has to call a timeout because it's too loud to get signals out and so forth. So, I definitely think it's home field advantage, and I think the Kansas City fans take a lot of pride in that. Yeah, I'd rather be playing there as a home member, not a visitor.
Yeah, for the record, everyone out there and listening in Missouri Sport Network land, I am not a Chiefs fan, but I am not a Chiefs hater either. There's a big difference. I don't root for them, but I don't necessarily hope they lose, except when they're playing against Tom Brady in the Super Bowl and all the other big games they'll ever play in this year. With that being said, gentlemen, college football is here. Yay! Now my days will go by. I'll start living life from Sunday. Monday Night Football, all I have is Tuesday, Wednesday to get through, and college football picks up on Thursday. Our state teams here, we're going to cover all of them this year, but I'd like to start off with Mizzou. They open up tomorrow against La Tech. I think they're a heavy favorite, maybe 19.5-point favorites. That should be a fairly easy win for them. I'm ready to see some of the things they do, and then I want everyone to put this on their calendar. They get a little bit of that Big 12 action on September 10th when they play K-State. That'll be interesting. But let's just jump into Mizzou a little bit. I know we had talked briefly off the air about their likely wins and losses. What do you see Mizzou, DA? What do you see their record this year? And what do you think about their team they put together up in Columbia?
I like what I like what Drinkowitz is doing in Columbia. I think he's going about it the right way. He's getting some in-state kids to stay in-state, which has been a problem in the past, and he's really getting some of the better athletes out of the Kansas City, St. Louis area. So to be able to put out a competitive team that has a chance to go to bowls year in and year out, and I mean, let's face it, when you're a college coach and you're not picked to win the SEC, getting to a bowl is a big deal. So, you know, I can see them being a game or two over 500, which would obviously get them in a bowl. I think a lot of it's going to depend on staying healthy, especially in key areas. I know that they've got some depth at the quarterback position, which is good. So it'll just be interesting to see. I think we'll learn a lot more about them tomorrow night when they play Louisiana Tech.
Well, you gotta also consider. I mean, they're losing their workhorse at running back. I mean, you know, Tyler Beatty last year he carried the ball for them every game. He was their workhorse. Now they're trying to replace him with three guys. One of them's a D2 transfer from Truman, but he led the Division II in rushing. But you did get the guy in from Stanford there this year that comes in, and I can't think of his Nathaniel Pete coming in from Stanford. It's going to take over that, but they're playing in the SEC, and tomorrow's going to tell the tale. You know, they've got to beat Louisiana Tech, and they got to beat them by 3 touchdowns because then they go to K-State, and that's not an easy place to play. Now the man is gone from K-State, but they bring in a North Dakota State guy there as the head coach a couple of years now, and one thing he's going to be able to do is recruit the Midwest because he's done it at North Dakota State. It's going to be a lot easier to recruit the Midwest when you're in the Midwest.
I agree. I think they're probably going to hang around that 500 mark. I think maybe 8-5, 6 or not 8-5, 7-5, 6-6. Maybe 4-7. Or no, I said that wrong. Sorry. Either way, I'm bad at math. They're going to hang around that 500 mark. I expect them maybe to make a bowl if they finish a little over 500. Again, I think tomorrow night's going to be the kind of tell-all. You can't lose a game against a team like Louisiana Tech, and I feel like I can expect to go into K-State and win, especially, that's your former Big 12 rival. I think that's a big storyline, too, because a lot of people look at Mizzou football and basketball, but, mainly football as that's when it went downhill when they left the Big 12. So I think the storyline there of a former Big 12 opponent is huge, and, I mean, it may prove some people right as far as their stance on when Mizzou left the Big 12.
Well,
Hey,
here's how I look at it.
They didn't go down the hill. They won the SEC West 1 year. 2 years.
Yeah. Then Auburn blew them out in the championship game.
And I'm going to tell you this: it's all about the greenbacks. It's all about that money.
They got the money. It was very smart. I forgot the AD who made the move, who precipitated the move to the SEC. It was very smart of them to do that. I just feel like Mizzou, in the state of Missouri, has this big image and this stronghold about them being big brother of everyone. And in reality, they are the big brother in the state. But outside the state, they don't get that same respect. And I don't care what anybody says. I know there's a lot of Mizzou fans here that'll be listening to this, but I just don't see them being that type of powerhouse program right now. You're right, they did win it that year and they got out of their guy. I don't know if that was just a fluke or whatever, but I see them going 6-5. They'll play in the Music City Bowl. If they had something like the Dumbbell Bowl or the Wire Hanger Bowl, so Mizzou would be right there. They'll play in that bowl and they'll play a team and they'll win and it'll be this big deal. But as far as I'm seeing them losing to Georgia, Tennessee, Florida, Kentucky, maybe Arkansas and Auburn are my toss-up games. But La Tech, Abilene, Christian, Vandy, New Mexico State, South Carolina, they should win. What are you guys' prediction on Mizzou's overall record? We already know what Austin said. He said 9-5, and they'll be right about 500. But with that being said, we understand some people slept through math and some people just didn't go to the class at all. But with that being said, Guy and Da, what do you really think about them this year moving forward as far as overall record?
I was one of those guys that never went to math class, so they will win or lose 100% of their games. I can see them being 6. I agree with you. As bad as that pains me to say, 6-5. If they can sneak a game out that they're not supposed to win, 7-4 at best. Which, playing in the SEC, that's a dang good year, and it's going to get you in a decent bowl that's going to pay some money. And once again, I mean, that's what college sports is all about, just getting that payday. And so I can see them having a pretty good year.
Well,
relatively speaking, I'm sorry, Guy.
No, I think they're going to finish under 500, and I'm not an anti-Mizzou guy. I mean, heck, I've got family names on buildings at Mizzou, and Archer, you've seen them.
I have seen them, yes.
And we grew up Mizzou people, but I mean since Chase Daniel was a quarterback and Chase Kaufman was running tight end and Jamar Macklin at wide receiver and Will Franklin at wide receiver, I haven't paid attention. They've just got so bad so quick, and they've just struggled. I cannot see them. And I like Drinkowitz. I'm not anti him. I think he's done a great job, but it's just being in the SEC. I mean, you're going to make $50 million on the TV contracts, but you're not going to win. You're not going to win in the SEC, and I know they did at one time. Well, that's when they first got there. That was 2007. When they won the Big 12, North or whatever, had to go play Oklahoma at San Antonio, and got run out of the freaking game there. I won tickets to that game, didn't go, by the way. Lance Roden brought those for me. I won them from the radio station, and but did not go to that game. But I see them maybe 5-6, and maybe even a 4-7.
Wow, that's interesting. Let me first clarify things for our listeners. When Guy said he has family name members on buildings, he's talking about the spray paint kind that you see in the bathroom walls. But with that being said, hey, we take the glory here at Missouri Sports Network however we can get it. So we can get it spray painted on the bathroom wall. We'll take it, my friends. Hey, Mizzou, good luck to you. I'm pretty sure whatever you do, I think you'll be an improvement upon last year. With that being said, I'd like to come back closer right into our backyards here with the Missouri State Bears. They're open up tomorrow at Central Arkansas. They're ranked, it depends on what publication. I think I saw them as high as 5. Central Arkansas is going to be a test. They beat them. They're 2-1 the last 3 times. They played them twice that one year due to COVID. And I see the Bears having a good season, but I don't know if I'm on the train just yet, gentlemen. Let's start with you, Guy, and we can pass it around. What do you think Missouri State's going to look like this year?
Well, I think they're going to be better than they were last year with the D1 guys he brought in, the tight end, Stetson Moore at tight end. They got the transfer from Liberty. The kid is a man-child. He's just Jason Shelley's got a year under his belt. He's proven to be a great leader. I've interviewed him. He's been on the show. They've got a defensive end that's outstanding, and they've got probably the best coach in FCS football. This is a guy, Bob Petrino, that if you look at the last 100 years at FBS coaches, he's in the top 40, maybe top 25 in FCS with what he did at Louisville and Arkansas and the unfortunate things that happened there. But going into this game, I mean, UCA they've got a transfer quarterback that's from Northern Iowa that the last time he played the Bears, he beat them 29-14. Talking about the McCown kid that's coming in, he transferred down to UCA. The game last year, they scored 17 points in the last 3 minutes combined. I mean, they had a kickoff run back, and now the Bears won that game. But this is probably, I don't know, it's going to be a rat race like that because I think the Bears' defense is better. I think improvements there on the defensive side of the football, plus Shelley being a year older, and they're going to be able, with their defensive backfield, they're going to be able to encourage teams to throw. I mean, they're going to send guys because they want them to throw. They got 2 of the best corners in the conference, and that's going to increase teams wanting to pass on them, but they're going to pick them off and run it back. So I think they win against UCA. Then they go to Arkansas, and that's a game that Bob Petrino going back there. I wonder how many motorcycles are going to be in the stadium, and that's just something I'm looking forward to see. That I may drive down there and watch that game.
Right. DA, what are your thoughts on the Bears? And I think we all want the Bears to do good. I think I'm a little bit cautious. Are we buying into the hype without seeing the product? So I want to get a game or two under the belt, see what they're doing. They got to stay healthy. Arkansas beats you up, then you come out of that kind of broken up a little bit. That could change the season. But DA, what are your thoughts, my friend?
I like the direction the program's headed. I mean, you take a look at where the program was 5 years ago. I mean, they were also Rans. And Johnny, probably not since you were playing for the Bears was Missouri State football relevant in the football world, let alone national rankings. So I really like the coaching staff there. We had an opportunity to go watch the players work out one day, and I just think things are headed in the right direction. They're very focused, and don't sleep on the Bears. They are probably one of the best kept secrets in the state as far as college teams, especially fall season, that come postseason can make some noise.
Yep, I agree with you, Austin. I think the last time my last season was 91-92, and we finished 7-4, and then we missed the playoff, missed a couple of drop passes here or there where we could have won the conference championship and didn't. And Austin, you were not even a thought back then, but with your knowledge in sports and being in the area, what are your thoughts on the Bears?
Well, I've always had kind of a soft spot in my heart for Missouri State University and in all sports. I really have. I've had family that have graduated from there. They're all proud graduates. So obviously, I want to see them be successful. Just I think as all of us do. I think they're going to be better than last year. I think again we're going to have to see. We have to see something. I think but that's with every team all around the country. You have to see because there are some really good teams or projected good teams that turn out to be not good. And my favorite basketball team last year was top 5 in the country, and then they were terrible. So I think we can buy into rankings preseason, but when it comes right down to it, guys, there's no way to determine that until you've seen them get on the field and perform.
I agree.
I got to pick Johnny to task on this hype stuff, man. This ain't hype. Bobby Petrino's 12-3 in the conference since he got there. He's 6-1 at home in the conference. It ain't hype. I mean that
sure is hype. Well, you got to understand. You got a new set of. You got a new team, so it's not the same team. You're not expanding from last year's schedule and going, hey, we're playing the same guys. You got a whole new team. Everyone has to gel, and you have to stay healthy. I mean, if Jason Shelley goes down, and who's the quarterback? And it's not like you can go, well, we'll fight through and struggle through one of our corners or one of our DBs. I mean, you lose a couple games, you're not making the playoffs. So there is some hype. I'm not really sure about the depth. Petrino's a proven head coach, but I'm just always going to say, let me see a couple games into it, and let's see where we come out. And if Arkansas beats us up pretty bad and we walk out of there kind of banged up, man, your season could change in a blink of an eye. So that's all I'm saying, Guy.
Well, as far as new team, they got 14 returning starters and 41 lettermen coming back. So it's a lot of the same guys.
Their line is beat up. Well, I shouldn't say beat up. Their line is from what I've heard, and I haven't seen enough of the practices to really to make an assessment. But from what I read, what Petrino says, if your line is not clicking and not gelling, hey, brother, that 2nd and 8 becomes harder when it's 3rd and 6, and I'm bringing people up the middle, outside. I mean, it's just a different ball. I want them to do well. They have some people in positions. There's a reason why some of these kids transferred. They didn't transfer because they was getting major reps and they were just a starter team. They transferred because they wasn't cutting the mustard. So we're going to see here if they can handle and stand up to the hype. I'm just saying, man. I'm not just riding the train like that. I got a ticket. But I don't know if I just want to get on right now. But I have a ticket. And I'll be there tailgating. And I will say this, and I'm going to make some people mad. I will take a Missouri State tailgating experience over a Mizzou tailgating experience any day, any Saturday in the fall.
Oh, Johnny.
Missouri State
My
tailgating.
goodness.
Way,
man, you talk about
better.
A homer comment.
Wow.
Come on, man.
Wow. Have you been to a Mizzou tailgate experience?
Yes.
Have you been to a Missouri State? I'm not saying ZOU, so somebody else is going to have to fill it in. Have you? So you had a better time at a at a Mizzou tailgate than Missouri State?
From what I remember of it, yes.
Ah, well, I recall them picking you up off the floor, but that's okay, my friend. I'm just saying, Missouri State's tailgating experience is up there with. Well, I put it past Mizzou. I'll take it any day of the year over Mizzou. Guy, Austin, have you guys experienced any tailgating around the state at the college collegiate level that you would put up there with Missouri State or Mizzou's?
I've never done any tailgating, period.
Okay, we're really
Yeah,
gonna have
well,
to see. We really got to get you acclimated, son. You're not going to school. You got, but no, I'm just saying. But go ahead, guy.
well, I've taken in a Missouri State tailgate, and it was I enjoyed it last year, and it's going to be a lot better this year with what they're doing with Bearfest Village, and we've got friends at Labor's Union 663. They're going to be barbecuing brisket and steak, and on that Thursday night, there's going to be lines there. Pizza Ranch they're going to have a tent set up, giving away pizza, and then of course you got the well, I don't know, the beer cart or whatever that's going to be over there as well. But the one thing about Missouri State, the tailgates is the people, they love the tailgate, but then the students don't go to the game.
Yeah,
They
that
just
is
go to the tailgate.
that is the sad part of the experience. But by the time they leave there, they've had a great time. But like I said, we all want the Bears to win. We're very hopeful that the students stay around more this year, and hopefully there's some incentive. I know I spoke to Kyle Mosa, AD there, and there were some incentives to get them to stay. I got them having a good season. We'll see what happens. But what I really was excited about, I got a chance to see a little high school football last weekend. My daughter's in the band at Kickapoo, so I got a chance to see Kickapoo pretty handle Hillcrest very easily. The final was 49-0. It really wasn't a contest, but the number one shocker, and I'm not going to be hesitant to say, in the state of Missouri, out of all of the schools, was Nixa beating Webb City. Guy, I know you had a lot of emotion, a lot of thoughts about this. DA, you did also, and Austin as well. Gentlemen, let's kick it around. What happened? Is Nixa that good? Is Webb City that down? Or is Webb it's just kind of on the rebound and Nixa just happened to have a good game? What do you guy, let's start with you. What do you know?
Well, first off, the last team to beat Webb City prior to the other night was Nixa. They beat them last year, and then Webb City went on a run. They ran all the way through the state championship game. Anytime early in the season, and I know Nixa for years has tried to schedule, for the last 5 years, has tried to schedule Webb City early in the season. If you're going to get Webb, you're going to have to get them early, because once those guys get acclimated to it and they iron out those kinks, it's just a freight train going downhill. And that's what happened last year. And John Roderick and his coaching staff, I mean, he has on his coaching staff, Scott Bailey is on his coaching staff. Scott Bailey won 7 consecutive state championships with Lamar. He is now on the Webb City coaching staff. You've got the former head coach at Missouri Western who is on his staff. So, and now John, Coach Roderick, he's in his 30th year. Okay, he's won 300 football games and he's lost 25. I mean, that is amazing. And it's one of the things, too, is that these other schools in this conference have gotten so much larger than Webb City. Webb City's been able to keep their enrollment down to stay in that Class 4 and Class 5. Then they've got to go out and play a Joplin, who is Class 6. They play a Nixa, who is Class 6. What used to happen were kids coming across the state line. They were coming into Webb City because of the tradition. Then, that got it to a point where they had to go to Lamar, and that's what happened there. That's how Lamar football got really good, because those kids say, I'm not going to play at Webb. I'll go to Lamar. Lamar was Class 2 at that time, or to Carl Junction. And then a lot of them ended up going to Joplin with their new facilities. Joplin's got great facilities, a great coach. But somehow Webb City and that stinking triple option, or that veer, you can't beat it. You know what they're going to do, and you still can't beat them. I think what Nixa did the other night, and my father being a defensive coordinator and a head coach at college level said, never lost to a veer team. He goes, the first thing you got to do is take the quarterback out of it. If you take the quarterback out of it, then you're okay. Then you just got to defend too. But you got to make sure you take the quarterback out of it, and that's what Nixa did. They forced a fumble on a play, and Webb City has had in the past, they've had the early season where they turn the ball over. And if you can take advantage of that, you're going to beat them. And they lost 3 games last year. That's not Webb City, but they won the state title. So, but Nixa is that good. I mean, they may have 4 D1 guys on their team, and what Nixa's been able to do is get those basketball players out. That come out. They're tall, they're lanky, they're athletic, they've got good hands. They put those guys at wide receiver or at tight end, and so they've been able to. They're not a one-dimensional type team. They can do anything. They can score from anywhere on the field. And John Perry, the head coach there, has been there. It's his 3rd year there. He's a motivational genius. Some of the things that he's doing at the high school level, not only with just football but all sports, has gotten them to where they're starting to share athletes really well down at Nixa. And once that happens, you're gonna start to win. And Webb City football, just like at Missouri State, if Missouri State football carries the university. If the football team is good and well attended, you're going to see that on the basketball side. You're going to see that on the baseball side. And Webb City's been like that. And the genius of John Roderick, I was with him it was at a soccer game. My daughter was playing soccer. They're playing Webb City. John Roderick's there. He's got a clipboard with him. If you're an athlete at Webb City and if you're a football player and you're not at a wrestling match or you're not at a soccer game, you get called into his office next day. Hey, these people come out and support you. You need to be there supporting them. And that's why they get great attendance. I mean, that next game, they were lining up at noon. There were probably 3,000 people in line at noon to get into that Webb City Nixa game. Now Nixon's got Neosho, who scored 79 points last week, but they're not going to do it against Nixa.
Kind of echoing what Guy just said, that score doesn't really surprise me. Webb City's one of those programs, no matter how up or down they are, and they're never down. People have them circled on their schedule,
right,
and they're going to get everybody's best. And just like what Guy said, Nixa, Carthage, Joplin are all very good football teams that will, in the long run, make a team like Webb City well prepared for a tournament run.
right.
Now, Carthage won big last weekend. Got a very good running back. They're going to have to get through them in districts, but it was kind of the same scenario last year. You kind of figured whoever won that district was probably going to make a pretty good run to the state finals. And Webb City, I mean, it was just he just has a machine rolling there. You talk about an upset. One score that came across to me was CBC in Milledgeville, Georgia, in the Hall of Fame game. CBC out of St. Louis really put the throttle on Milledgeville. And, CBC in the state of Missouri is always top 3 or 4 team. Milledgeville is a top 25 team year in and year out throughout the nation.
Right.
So to be able to go play a team like that on neutral field 3 states away and to win, I believe the final was 41-27, that's a big statement right out the gate.
Right. I agree with you. And with CBC being a private Catholic school, they're able to get athletes from all over the St. Louis area. So they should stay dominant for a long time. Austin, I don't know if you saw that score that Neosho over Willard, 79-72. When I saw that's more than some teams will score all season. So that's an interesting score. Austin, what teams are you excited about just in the high school football arena? What teams are you excited about watching this year? And give me your thoughts on those teams.
I'm gonna keep it local from where I'm at. I really enjoy going and watching the Mountain View Birch Tree Liberty games. I'm not supposed to say that being from Summersville, but I'm going to say it anyway. Sorry, guys. If anybody from Summersville is watching, sorry. But, they lost.
The 3 of them have got a job tonight. So.
Hey, probably right. And, they lost a very good wide receiver, or not a wide receiver, running back. I apologize, to Evangel. They lost their starting quarterback. So they did get the win against I believe it was on Friday. But, Thayer's football program is up and down. So I think it'll be interesting to see how they rebound. But, yeah, I'm excited to see how they rebound from losing the key players that they did.
Sure, sure. Well, I don't really want to make a lot of state predictions, but like I said, I got Summersville winning the A section of this year championship game. There's a little bit below 1A or Class 1. It's just like a half class, and I think Summersville should win it. But with all that being said, no, good luck to all those out there listening in the high school realm. Hey, gentlemen, I want to do a couple things. First of all, I want to let everyone know the Missouri Sports Network is covering the state in all areas of sports, not just football, basketball, and baseball, the four major sports. We're covering it all. And Guy, do me a favor, Guy, please go over our Friday program and some of the things that individuals can tune into and hear where they can hear all the sports from across the state and what time they can tune in.
Yeah, 9:30 to 11 every Friday night was the high school football scoreboard show. This past Friday we had coaches on from around the state, pretty much on the west side. This past Friday had Nevada, and they're going to be very good in the Big Eight West Conference. And Wes Beechler is the coach there, longtime guy at Parkview. He was down in Austin's area at Houston for a while, about 15, 20 years ago, and then came up to Parkview and was at Republic. Now he's at Nevada. Had him on. They're going to be loaded in the Big Eight. We also had Lamar's head football coach on. So we'll get some coaches from around the state on as well, and we'll get as many scores as we can get by 11. And I think right now it'll go up. The numbers will go up as far as the scores that we're able to kind of get our hands on. School's just started. You've got a lot of new high school athletic directors. You've got a lot of new coaches in the area. So some of that stuff was maybe just a little bit slower coming across. And so I'm not really sure what the situation was on Friday night, but we'll get better as the year goes on. But 9:30 to 11 at MissouriSportsNetwork.com, Missouri Sports Network on Facebook, Guy Newcomb on Facebook, and Scoreboard Guy on Twitter is where it all happens.
Sure, we'll make sure that we iron out the kinks, as that's what they call it. Some of these schools have to do, and we'll make sure we'll be right there reporting the scores. Gentlemen, I want to go into the last couple segments here. I want to talk about our local sports, and I want to open it up. I know, Austin, I'm going to let you lead this. I know you had said you were talking about volleyball. I think you said it about 5 or 6 times. And so volleyball was something that you were really passionate about covering. Tell us what you've been seeing out here, and let us know what's happening in the volleyball scene here. And gentlemen, let's make this kind of a local sports here, just kind of filling everybody in on things outside of volleyball, such as softball and soccer, things like that.
Well, again, like I said, I've been doing a lot of volleyball. Been doing games all week. I'll be doing games the rest of the week. Started last week. I saw some pretty good teams. I'll tell you one team that's flying under the radar that I saw the other night, and that's South Iron. And I can't believe I'm saying that because I feel like we talk about them all the time, and everybody was saying, they're going to have a down year. Well, they have the best hitter I've seen in a long time. That their outside hitter, and I'm sorry I don't remember her name, but she had her way with Summersville. She really did. Anytime it felt like Summersville was getting a little bit of that momentum and a roll going like that, it was done. It was over. She probably had 4 or 5 kills just in one night, and that's quite a bit. That's quite a bit. That's something that I've been covering volleyball for a few years now. There are some middle hitters, outside hitters, they don't have 4 or 5 kills in a season. So because a hit's different than a kill. It is.
Explain that for our listeners.
I mean, a hit is different than a kill because if it's killed, like it's straight down. There's no way you can pick that up. Like you look at it and it hits the floor, done. As to where a hit, those are a little more, well, they might just kind of flow over and they may get in the hole. They may get in that hole there. They may find it, but it's not as, you can't defend a kill. You really can't. Like, I feel like you can't defend a kill.
Right. I just wanted our listeners to know what you were saying. So South Iron is a strong team. Any other teams out there that we want to make sure we recognize as being a team that's on the lookout here in this upcoming volleyball season?
I think another team that I've seen just early on in the season is Licking. I think Licking could be pretty good, and they're pretty close. They were good last year. I think they may have gotten to the quarterfinal. They made it out of their district for sure, but they were a team, again, kind of like South Iron. They were good last year. A lot of people kind of overlooked them this year because they lost a couple seniors. But Licking looks good. Licking looks like they're going to be right back where they were last year.
That's interesting. Well, thanks for that. I know that's a passion, and we tend to be not necessarily singularly focused on certain sports, but we do try to hit everything in our area and the state. So we're going to be covering all here at Missouri Sports Network. And so, Guy, I know you see way more sports than all of us combined. What are your thoughts on any other sports out there and schools and teams that we might need to recognize here on the huddle?
Well, just to kind of finish up just a little bit of the volleyball. Obviously, down there in that area, you've got a Winona team that's got a tremendous history. You've got a Mountain View Liberty team in volleyball that's had a couple of state titles runs. But that Winona and that Summersville area, there's just no football, so their Friday nights are volleyball. In the fall, and so they get great attendance. But here, you've got your usual suspects. You've got the Kickapoo. You've got Nixa, who won a state title, most recently. You've got Willard, who won a title recently as well. Rogersville had a high school American on it last year, so they're talented. Just talking about that one particular sport, softball. In the upper class, it's tough because you see those guys those ladies out of Blue Springs South they're pumping it up there, 65, 68 mile an hour, from 60 feet away. So they're just dominating on the pitching side of it. Rogersville's had a decent run in softball the last few years. Kickapoo's going to be solid. Chloe Merced is gone. She's playing at Missouri State now, but they're still going to be talented. Glendale's kind of up and coming on the softball. Parkview Hillcrest, they're going to struggle a little bit. Catholic's going to struggle. Bolivar's had some team pass, but that kid that was a high school American's pitching at Florida State now, so that's gone. So it's all about the circle when you talk about softball in this area. We've got a Sherwood team that came down here, and Sherwood is up north between Warrensburg and Kansas City. They came down and they played in the tournament with Carthage, Lebanon, Camdenton, and they ended up walking away. They won the tournament. They didn't lose a game in the tournament. They're a small school, so we're going to have them on later this week, for our country financial team of the week, and we appreciate Rashad Taylor and his sponsoring of that. But they're going to be on. Then the other sports, you got cross country, you got West Plains, who's always good. Bolivar has been good typically in the past in cross country. Haven't seen a lot of scores from the cross country meets yet. And then you've got golf going on, where in the past Catholic on the women's side is probably one of the top teams in the country. They've got a young lady on their team that is now, or was on their team, that is now at University of Arkansas, who played in the Women's Open. Then she played right there at Springfield Catholic. They won their state championship last fall by 72 strokes. It was unbelievable, and so there's a lot of good things going on in the state of Missouri. And when you get up in the St. Louis area, Lafayette is outstanding in volleyball. They're always good. So it's kind of spread around the state. We're just a week into it, so a lot of things haven't taken shape yet, but they're going to start to over the next month. You're going to start to, the cream is going to rise to the top. And Webb City may lose 2 more games in this month because they've got Carthage and they've got Joplin. They may lose both of those, but you still can't count John Roderick and that staff out in a state title game. Lamar they're just loaded in football. You're seeing a lot of good young quarterbacks in the area. Mount Vernon's got a very young team. They went 1-10 last year, but they started, I think, 8 freshmen, including their quarterback, Gavin Johnston. And he had a big night the other night. They get a win over McDonald County, which was a playoff team a year ago, and they defeated McDonald County. So you don't know a lot about what guys have got coming back. And you mentioned that 79-72 game, Willard over Neosho. I'm sorry, Neosho over Willard, and the Neosho quarterback threw for 480 yards in that contest. And Willard's got a quarterback by the name of Roten, who folks up here have. I think Coach Doug Potts, God rest his soul, but he had a Roten at quarterback for 16 years in a row. It seemed like, and the youngest Roten, 20 years in a row. Brock, that's his son that plays quarterback at Willard, and he had a really good night as well. So
Good.
lots of good numbers being put up here early in the season, um, and we're going to try and stay on top of them and get our athletes of the week. You've got an athlete of the week nomination, just send it to Missouri Sports Network at gmail.com. We interviewed one guy, a young man today from Southern Boone County, had 313 yards receiving, and 9 receptions and 3 touchdowns. Eureka had a guy rush for 321 yards and 4 touchdowns. And so we're going to visit with him later on this week. I mentioned the Sheridan softball team with the the team of the week. So we're excited, and it's just flying the desk.
Good, good, good. Thanks for all that good information, Guy. Like you said, we want to make sure we're covering across the sports arena, across the whole state. And so, gentlemen, we're going to wrap this up here with a segment called "What What are you thinking?" You just open it up. I'll start it off with it so I can get everyone kind of going. I'm excited to see what Serena Williams is going to do. A little bit sad to see her go. She's been an icon of sport. She kind of set the standard there. But I'm excited to see what she does. And if she loses, then and she said she might play another tournament. She's not going to say never. So excited about that. I'm also wondering what's going on with Tom Brady. A little bit. He looked a little different, sounded a little older, looked a little older. Looked like there's something underneath there. So those have been a couple of things I've been thinking about lately here in the sports realm. And then John Gruden had some very interesting comments. And does he deserve another chance? Which he said he does. But let's start from the youngest. And I'm not going to say who the oldest between Guy and DA, but when they take their hats off, whoever has the less hair, let's just do that. We'll let them go. Oh, there you go. So no,
I'm not taking mine off.
Austin, what are you thinking, buddy? Give me some topics you've been thinking about this last week in the sports world.
Hey, go blue. Go blue. That's what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about college football this Saturday. I'm excited. I'm excited to watch all the games, honestly. But I was sad. I had some friends on Facebook talking about their big Nebraska fans, talking about watching Nebraska, and I was sitting there on Saturday thinking, man, I wish my team was playing. I'm just excited to see how Michigan bounces back from that not disgraceful, but that tough loss against Georgia. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking go blue.
Yeah, Guy, DA. One of you, since Guy took his hat off, we know for a fact he has no hair. So DA, I'm pretty sure you got a strand or a pebble or two up there. But DA, what are you thinking? What's been on your mind the last week in the world of sports?
I am ready for the last month of Major League Baseball. Interesting, a lot of good races heading down the stretch. Eager to see, a lot of the teams that are out of the races will bring up younger players, opportunity to see good young talent that will be the future of baseball. And I'm a huge baseball fan, not just a Cubs fan, but a baseball fan. And just really looking forward to that last month, and then of course playoff push.
Love it. Guy, what's up, my friend? The man with the name on the wall at the University of Missouri. What are you thinking, my friend? What's been going on in your mind in the last week of sports, buddy? What's been on your mind? What have you been thinking about?
Well, I tell you what, just on a national level, I'm so intrigued by Aaron Judge and Albert Pujols. I mean, they're chasing two of the most iconic numbers in sports, 761. And I don't know that either one of them get there. Judge is struggling a little bit. He's got no protection in that lineup. I mean, when Carpenter fouled that ball off his foot, broke his foot. I mean, he was the best protection the Judge had all season long and was probably going to finish second in the MVP for the Yankees, just on the Yankees team there. But I mean, he put up some unbelievable numbers. Now he doesn't have that protection, so he's kind of slacked off. He just got to number 50. He's got 38 games left to get 11 home runs. And does Pujols in his last 35, 36 games, does he come up with the 700? I want him to get. Obviously, I want him to get to 697. I want him ahead of A-Rod, but to get that 700, that would be so huge. So those are two things I'm really paying attention to, is that chase and you look at what Roger Maris did, and you compare that to Aaron Judge. And when Aaron Judge hit his 50th, he did it, and that was career home run number 216, which is how many Maris hit in his career, and. Judge wears number 99. Roger Maris wore number 9. I mean, there's just so many things that you can look at, just the comparison there between those. And it's just it's exciting because because I wasn't around in 1961 when Maris did it. I was around at 98 when McGuire did it, and that was amazing. Well, now that's tainted. And then Bonds was tainted. There's no tainting of Aaron Judge's number. There's no tainting of anything Albert Pujols has ever done. I mean, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, maybe the second or third guy to go in with the unanimous vote. Best right-handed hitter of all time, sans Hank Aaron. But and the greatest infielder of all time at any position with the numbers he's put up and the defensive numbers he has. So I'm watching that. On the local level, obviously, you want to see what the Bears do against UCA on Thursday night.
Good deal, gentlemen. Well, gentlemen, we're going to close the show off here. Guy, DA, Austin, it's been a great experience. We'll be back at you next week. Guys, sign us off. Let everyone know who's sponsoring us, what we're about, a little bit about Missouri Sports Network, because I know for a fact everyone has a home field advantage, but it sounds so much better coming from you. But, gentlemen, it's been a good hour here, and we'll get right back at it again next week, gentlemen. Guys, sign us off, please, my friend. Drum roll for you, my friend.
Hey, you've been watching Missouri Sports Network at MissouriSportsNetwork.com, coming to you live from the Pizza Ranch studio, presented by Central Bank of the Ozarks, Doak Propane, Great Southern Bank, Chevy dealers of the Ozarks. And a reminder, the Highway Patrol reminds us all to take that 3 seconds and buckle up. It's 3 seconds that could save your life. Be safe, be smart, and be here tomorrow and be here next time for Huddle Up here on Missouri Sports Network. Good night. God bless.
Good night, everyone.